A soft light illuminates a circle of people, all unconscious. Suddenly, a young woman stirs awake, calling out to no response. Attempting to move, she triggers a buzzer when stepping off the red circle beneath her feet. Another attempt behind her results in the same warning sound. Desperate, she reaches out to touch the person next to her, only to find the buzzer interrupting again. She notices a glowing circle on her hand. From across the room, a man warns her to stop moving, claiming they can see them. She bombards him with questions, but he can only offer speculative answers. Another woman awakens in a panic, but despite the man's attempts to reassure her, she moves off her spot, triggering a deadly surge of electricity from the center of the circle, instantly claiming her life. With a sudden flash, the room is fully lit, jolting everyone awake. Tragically, one man doesn't survive the shock. Urging everyone to freeze, the first man frantically searches for his gun while warning against movement or contact. A relentless beeping fills the air as one of the deceased men's bodies is dragged away, his hand emitting an ominous glow. As tension mounts, the electrical charge builds once more, claiming another victim before any further instructions can be given. Amidst the chaos, a man in a hat makes a startling discovery. He's somehow controlling the floor lights. The light halts in front of a woman, and she's hit by the electric shock. As confusion reigns and questions fly, the man in the hat urges them to experiment with the floor lights. Following his lead, they realize they can only see the light they control. The man explains that they hold the power to decide who perishes. The ominous beeping returns, claiming yet another victim. Amidst the tension, the pregnant woman looks around, piecing things together. She concludes that they're actually casting votes, choosing the next victim by closing their hands. A plan forms as someone suggests voting for the already deceased, a proposal met with unanimous agreement. However, when the beeping ceases, another life is taken. Determined to change the outcome, they opt not to vote the next time the beeping starts. As all the pointer lights illuminate, the group is dismayed to see someone still falling victim to the zap. Urged to silence by the guy in the blue hoodie, they collectively agree it's time to strategize, to unravel their predicament and halt the grim cycle. Blue hoodie's proposal? Target the older individuals first. While Hat Guy concurs, not everyone is on board. Undeterred, Blue Hoodie suggests starting with the person to his right and proceeding clockwise. The pregnant woman dissents, but lacking a better plan, they reluctantly acquiesce. With the relentless beeping persisting, the first older man pleads for mercy, but to no avail. With the majority in favor of Blue Hoodie's approach, they delve into deciphering their ordeal. Turning to the soldier for insight, they speculate wildly about alien invasions or similar scenarios, only to find him as clueless as the rest. Amidst the confusion, a voice from the back shares fragmented memories of being trapped in a traffic jam before everything went dark. More voices chime in, echoing similar recollections of the traffic jam. Once more, the ominous beeping initiates their vote, this time targeting the second elderly individual. Amidst the tense proceedings, a man recollects being lifted into a ship. His memories unveil a chilling image of a crimson chamber filled with bodies, which he now suspects were not lifeless, but rather sedated. Their deliberations continue as they collectively decide on the fate of the third elder. Meanwhile, the fourth elderly person shares his own fragment of memory, perhaps a glimpse of the aliens themselves, their language, their appearance, all swirling in a fog of uncertainty. Skepticism clouds the group as some doubt the validity of the fourth elder's claims, suspecting a ploy for self-preservation. However, their suspicions are cut short as he too falls victim to the zap. Hat Guy, scanning the circle for the next target, singles out the woman wearing the hat, questioning her age. At 52, she's younger than anticipated, her battle with cancer influencing their judgment. Blue Hoodie advocates for her elimination based on statistical probability, but a doctor intervenes, challenging this assumption. The debate escalates, with concerns raised about the slippery slope of age-based criteria. Despite Blue Hoodie's persistence, the group turns against him, sealing his fate. Cancer survivor, now at the center of attention, shifts the focus to unraveling the mystery behind their selection. While some entertain the idea of randomness, she advocates for deeper introspection and mutual understanding. Beth courageously steps forward, sharing her story only to be abruptly silenced by the returning beep, succumbing to the zap. Fearing the consequences of disclosure, most become hesitant to reveal any further details. However, Craig disregards the growing apprehension, revealing a personal connection within the group by identifying the woman beside him as his wife. As inquiries about who else shares connections surface, a man from the rear tentatively admits to knowing the doctor, though they opt to keep the nature of their acquaintance private. Craig pleads for mercy for his wife as the beeping persists, claiming yet another victim. Turning to the Hispanic man, they seek his perspective, only to realize he doesn't comprehend English. Thankfully, the woman behind him volunteers to translate. Inquiring about his family, he reveals he has 3 daughters in Mexico. However, the conversation takes a contentious turn when the man in the red tie broaches the topic of illegal immigration. Quick to counter, the man in the flannel shirt humorously questions if aliens would bother with green cards. Seeking clarity, they ask the translator to inquire about his legal status in the U.S., to which he responds in the negative. As the unsettling beeping persists, its next victim surprises the group, claiming a young girl from the front row. Amidst the shock, the cop identifies a man in the front row as Raul, recalling him for an alleged assault on his girlfriend. Cancer survivor questions the certainty of this identification. The interaction escalates into a heated debate on profiling and prejudice, overshadowing the discussion of Raul's actions. When pressed, Raul callously suggests his girlfriend deserved the abuse. In the subsequent round, Raul faces the consequences of his past actions, succumbing to the zap. The blonde woman from the front row proposes a new perspective. Perhaps their ordeal is meant to distinguish between good and bad. She insists there must be a purpose to their presence. However, her companion challenges this notion, suggesting a darker motive, that they're mere pawns in a deadly game watched by unseen observers. The blonde man behind her interprets her query as a quest to determine who deserves survival. This prompts a reflection on what criteria should guide such a judgment, all while the ominous beeping persists. Tragically, it claims the life of the Muslim woman from the front row. The African-American man broaches the sensitive topic of race, igniting a charged discussion. Initially, some of the white individuals assert the inherent unfairness of the situation, while others caution against stirring further tension, fearing reprisal. Hat Guy echoes this sentiment, aligning with those advocating for restraint. However, the conversation unveils underlying racial tensions, exposing deep-seated biases. The cop, in particular, reveals his own prejudices, only to meet his demise as the beeping resumes. The soldier urges discretion, suggesting they refrain from airing their opinions and prejudices. However, the African-American man opposes this, advocating for transparency and open discourse. The soldier and the translator emphasize the importance of unity and understanding, urging the group to focus on deciphering their predicament. In an attempt to manipulate the outcome, they experiment with voting for themselves, then for their neighbors, yet errors persist, resulting in unintended casualties. Amidst the chaos, the pregnant woman lends a helping hand to a nearby child, only to find herself and another man selected for the next round of voting. Tragically, the man falls victim to the zap. From the shadows, a voice reveals a grim observation. The game seems designed to eventually target either the pregnant woman or the child. In response, a blonde man suggests eliminating them for the greater good. The man in the flannel shirt proposes allowing one of them to exit, but Red Tie opposes. Cancer survivor argues that the pregnant woman's condition warrants special consideration, equating her to 2 lives. As the voting ensues, another deadlock arises, this time between an older woman and the child. While some advocate for their protection, others seek to understand their character first. The man with glasses takes the initiative, questioning the child, but the process only leads to another tie, this time between the pregnant woman and the child. A suggestion to eliminate both is swiftly met with its own fatal consequence. Craig proposes a different approach, asking for volunteers. Despite reluctance, a teenager steps forward, citing his aversion to violence. However, objections arise over his youth and the fairness of his participation. Eventually, an older gentleman from the back offers to take his place. As the beeping commences, he bravely steps away from his designated spot. Despite ongoing debates over the fairness of volunteering, the group struggles to find a consensus. In the end, the teenager honors his word and steps forward, meeting his demise as the beeping concludes. As the pressure mounts for someone to volunteer, all eyes turn to the soldier, but he refuses, citing his desire to reunite with his family. With time ticking away, they anxiously await a willing participant. Finally, a woman from the back steps forward, motivated by the loss of her son. The deacon offers her words of comfort, assuring her she will reunite with her son. However, tensions rise when it's revealed he's a religious figure. The discussion evolves into a debate over religion, with the man in the black suit asserting the omnipotence of the Zapper. His confrontational attitude sparks friction, particularly with atheists in the group. When the beeping resumes, both he and another woman are selected, resulting in her demise. Despite pleas for compassion and consideration, the man's antagonistic behavior persists, targeting the blonde woman with inappropriate remarks. However, his provocations prove his downfall as he's chosen in the next round of voting. As the group grapples with the latest loss, the man with glasses suggests prioritizing those with children, sparking further debate. Red Tie Man's inquiry about family status is met with defiance from a woman in the back, leading to another tragic outcome as another member falls victim to the zap. As tensions escalate, the woman bravely shares her life story, revealing her sexual orientation as gay. Red Tie's homophobic remarks offend many, leading to his demise in the next round of voting. Concerns emerge about the endgame scenario when only two remain. The suggestion arises that one could abstain from voting, effectively sacrificing themselves. The man in the flannel shirt offers to make this sacrifice, while cancer survivor implies they should select someone they trust to make the final decision. However, doubts surface about trustworthiness, prompting the translator to assert that nobody can be trusted. The group agrees that collective decision-making is necessary. Questions arise about the outcome if it comes down to the two of them. The doctor suggests they could make the decision for them. As the final round of voting unfolds, the woman and the man who knows her are tied, leading to their simultaneous demise. Tensions rise as the blonde man insists they should determine which of the two should die. But the soldier suspects ulterior motives, accusing him of manipulating the situation to eliminate the pregnant woman and the child. Craig prompts them to consider who they would choose between the two, leading Glasses to probe the pregnant woman about her occupation. However, the fairness of this inquiry is questioned, with others asserting the significance of her pregnancy. Glasses persists, aggravating the pregnant woman further, leading to another round of voting and the demise of Hat Guy. Flannel Shirt turns the tables, questioning Glasses about his own occupation, to which he proudly declares himself a banker and a productive member of society. However, his antagonistic behavior earns him the ire of the group, culminating in the zap of the translator. As tensions escalate, suspicions mount regarding allegiances within the group. The suggestion that one faction targeted the translator for her refusal to vote against the child or pregnant woman sparks a divisive discussion about sides. Frantically, they tally each other to discern allegiances, who supports voting for the women and who opposes. When the vote commences, the child and the Hispanic man find themselves tied. Recognizing the perilous dynamic, the Hispanic man makes a selfless sacrifice for the girl's survival. Glasses continues his antagonistic behavior, provoking the soldier who aligns himself with those aiming to eliminate the two women. Together with the blonde man, they rally support from the couple and the African-American man. As the tense voting process unfolds, the child finds himself tied once more, this time with Glasses. The African-American man and the blonde man advocate for letting both die, but ultimately only Glasses meets his end, as the wife abstains from voting, sparking suspicions. While she denies changing her vote, asserting she simply abstained, doubts linger. Flannel Shirt suggests they face their fate with dignity, but Craig interprets this as implying the child should die and the pregnant woman should survive until the end. The blonde man attempts to sway the blonde woman to his side, but failing to do so, he suggests voting for Flannel Shirt to level the playing field and buy more time for discussion. They vote for Flannel Shirt accordingly. In a bid to ascertain the majority within each group, the soldier proposes voting for the wife to test her husband's loyalty. In a last-minute twist, Craig changes his vote, aligning with the soldier's decision to target the African-American man. Following his demise, the blonde man directs his anger towards Craig, questioning the legitimacy of their relationship in an attempt to sow doubt among the group. Doubts and questions ensue, but the facade crumbles when the wife fails to recall her husband's name, leading to their demise despite attempts to shift blame. The imposter wife insists she was truthful about her child. Amidst the accusations, the blonde man appeals to the group's conscience, reminding them of their shared guilt. He offers the real wife a chance at survival in exchange for allegiance to his cause, manipulating emotions and leveraging personal connections to sway opinions. However, when the older man remains silent, he turns to the woman beside him, appealing to her familial ties to secure her support. As the voting ensues, it culminates in a five-way tie involving the blonde man, the soldier, cancer survivor, the blonde woman, and the gay woman. After the revote, only the blonde man remains. Emotions run high as the deacon breaks down in tears, while the blonde man persists with his strategic maneuvering, appealing to the pregnant woman for her vote to no avail. The man in the back maintains his stance on the strategy. Moved by remorse, the deacon apologizes to the pregnant woman and steps away. With their original strategy failing, the man in the back and the blonde man realize they must adapt. The blonde man proposes a trade, offering the fake wife in exchange for one of the women. In the subsequent vote, the group except the older man casts their ballots. Tragically, the wife meets her end. Reflecting on the outcome, the man from the back notes the older man's consistent abstention from voting throughout the ordeal, even as he reaches this critical juncture. As tensions escalate, the man in the back and the blonde man engage in a heated argument, with the former subtly manipulating the latter into believing they will all vote for the older man. However, the man in the back and the pregnant woman share an understanding about their voting intentions. In a tragic turn, the zapper claims the blonde man's life, leaving only 4 remaining. With no other choice, they unite in voting for the older man, resulting in his demise. Left with only the 2 women, they contemplate the reason behind their ordeal. The man speculates that perhaps the aliens are conducting an experiment to understand human behavior and values. Perplexed, the pregnant woman questions why they would resort to such extreme methods. The man suggests that by observing who they choose to sacrifice, the aliens gain insight into human judgment and thought processes. As the tension reaches its peak, he reveals to the 2 women that they must decide amongst themselves who will die, refusing to make the choice for them. The child tearfully offers herself, willing to sacrifice for the sake of the baby. Despite his assurance that they'll depart together, he ultimately votes for the pregnant woman as the child steps out of her circle. Both women collapse, but to his shock, nothing changes. He remains trapped in the room. As another round of voting commences, he curses the aliens, resigned to his fate, and abstains from voting. When the beeping subsides, he finds himself tied with the baby, forced to make a gut-wrenching decision. In a moment of selfish survival, he chooses the baby to die. However, his relief is short-lived as he awakens outside, gazing up at multiple spaceships. In a chilling revelation, he realizes he orchestrated his manipulation of the group to secure his own survival, betraying everyone to ensure his escape from the deadly circle.